guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and I was asked a couple times actually to make my key bindings and macros video. So today I want to cover the key bindings and some of the macros that I use whenever I play my rogue. Now the way that I keybind all my keybinds, they're specific. They're not just rogue specific. They're pretty much overall character specific. Like just most of the keybinds that I do have, I have them there for comfortability for my hand. If, as you can see, my fingers are long, and just some of the keybinds I have are not exactly what most people would have. Like some people would have like alt or shift 1. I don't use shift 1 just because it's uncomfortable for me to place my hands that way, but like shift 2, shift 3, shift 4 is comfortable, so I kind of just try to stay away from anything uncomfortable. First of all, I use 1, 2, 3, and 4 as my normal abilities. These abilities that I use commonly, this is just the stuff that are going to be applied often, and this is across all other classes that I have as well. This is not just for rogues. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. My R is usually my finishers or some sort of a movement ability of such. My slash R, which is really easy and really comfortable for me to get to, slash R is my stuns usually. Then I go for my bar is T/T. This is where T is usually just utility style abilities. So for my rogue I have Tricks of Trade, which is going to be removed in Warlord's General, and I replace that with Shadow Reflection. When it's perfect area to fit, it does not feel any weird. And then /T is my Killing Spree, which I macro with my trinkets and if you would be like an orc, your racials and whatnot. Then my middle mouse button, I guess I would need to make a video portion for my mouse as well, a little bit at least on me, on my, actually, well, I'll show you my middle mouse button. Let me see if it shows. Yeah, my middle mouse button is my burst, right? That is just my burst. It's just my adrenaline rush, and that's what would put my bursts for the most part. And for PvP, since I PvP often, slash middle mouse button is my trinket, which is something that I can use. I mean, I thought about it, like maybe use like, you know, G or H or maybe like V for my trinket, but I feel like I have more reaction time with my hand, and holding down shift, it's kind of just, I don't know, it's like middle mouse is when you burst, shift middle is to make sure that I keep on. It's just, I don't know, it just makes sense in my head. So that's kind of how that functions. My /F is something I wouldn't use often, but so I'll put like a heal or something, you know, some self-heal of sorts. For a shaman, that would be like a heal and surge. For rogue, it's my recuperate. And F is my utility ability, whatever you would have. So for rogue, it would be stealth portion. And then my bar changes. So even on my bars, it changes. C/R is still my stun. /T does the same thing. But for Killing Spree, I changed it to a silence, because usually I'm not gonna go Killing Spree right out of a stun. You almost never do that. So that's where I have my garrote. So /T can be just about anything. It can be cooldowns. It can be, at least for me, it can be cooldowns or some sort of utilities or abilities you use within certain constraints, like AKA stealth. My F1, F2, F3, and 4, and I felt like mapping them the same way as 1, 2, 3, 4 with Fs, just because I use them often. This is what my defensives are. This is what I do for my oral characters defensive wise, defensive cooldowns. So my cloak, my evasion, smoke bomb, and prep. Because after that is my kick and my CC. For my kicks, is most all classes have kicks of some sort, unless you like a healer or something. That would be a different story. But my shift scroll up is my kick. So that's kind of how I would interrupt cast. Again, my hand on my mouse is a little quicker in reaction time than this hand right here. So I feel like if maybe I were to like hit G for kicks or whatever, or having to watch out for it, this is my kick for the target that I'm facing. So it's just really quick, really snappy. Another one that I have for my blind is shift scroll down, or backwards, scroll backwards. And again, for that one, I felt like that's one of the big CCs that I have, and that's, you know, if I have a class that has a, you know, a required CC, again, my hand on my right hand moves way quicker than my left. Then on bar, you can see my 5. The reason I actually put 5 as a utility ability, that it can be any utility for me, is disarm, which has been removed from Warlord, so it's going to be another ability to free up, or keybind to free up. I'll think what I want to do with that. I'll figure it out by the time the beta is over and whatnot. my 5, the reason I didn't add 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 into my, you know, rotation, just because when I move my finger outwards for 5, my index finger, it feels out of place compared to when it's 4. So it feels like I'm making a little bit of a stretch, and it's a little kind of uncomfortable for my play style. So 5 is something I would use every so often. It's not something I would, you know, use often. So I just decided to map 5 to have availability for it. But it's not something I use often, and I decided to put disarm in there. For other classes, I would put any ability that would have you know, some sort of a CC that I don't need to, you know, mess with all that often. Actually, I believe that's what I have Hex for my enhanced shaman. Just because I don't use that often. It's not a, you know, short cooldown or anything like that. Next, you'll see is my slash spacebar. A spacebar still lets me jump on everything. I've seen some people that actually decide to map it and remove it or whatever, but the reason I have slash space is kind of just like, it's another utility ability. It's kind of like almost a quit. It almost feels like I'm just quitting, like, you know, just slash space, done, hands off the keyboard, kind of like, at least that's how it feels for me whenever I use it. My mobility keybind is slash E. I can use it really easily, very quickly, while you know, not really having to change my movement style at all. It's just really quick tap of slash E, something I'll get really used to really quickly when I decide to add that keybind as one of my keybinds whenever playing PvP. Then we have my alts on the side. My alt 2 is a redirect, which I'm actually coming to kind of forget how to use since the beta. You know, you don't longer have a redirect on the beta servers, and then Warlords. Alt 1 feels just as comfortable as slash E. My alt 1 is faint just because it's just so easy to apply at any situation at any moment. So, you know, if I need versus, you know, movement ability, I just slash E. I don't feel any weird with my fingers, but if I need defensive, it's like alt 1 and just there, and I don't have to think about it. It's just something that my fingers and my hand is just so it can map it and apply it so easily. It just, I don't really know how else to explain. It's just something easy to use, at least for me. On the bottom, very last bar on the very bottom, and then we got bars on the right. My alt down scroll is my complete. It's usually my rage quit button for everything. It's like that'll be my bubble, that'll be my vanish. I used to use ice block for it, but I actually changed ice block to F1 just because I actually use it more often, at least when I'm playing on beta. But that'll be my rage quit button. That's my vanish. Then we have on the bottom right here we have sprint and shroud of concealment. I find that to be utility style abilities, so I map my utilities with 1 on my Naga and then 4 on my Naga as well. 4, I just decided to put sprint, and then any kind of mobility style abilities would be cool. But then, and 1 would be I'll put like Fire Nova on an enhancement shaman or something. Just, I don't know, something to take up space. But that's kind of what I have on my bottom bar. All right, let's take a look on my right bar, and that's one of the few last one left. I have slash. I don't feel comfortable using slash shift 1, so I use shift 2 for my shiv. It's just shift 2 shiv. I don't know, just thought process. It just makes sense in my head. Then I have shift 3, which is just and then shift 4 is my slicing shadow blades. My bad, I completely forgot about that ability. But this shift 1, shift 2, shift 3, and shift 4 would be the abilities I would have for utility, or shift 4 would be the burst. Just because I feel like shift 4, I don't know, just in my head it makes sense that it'd be bursty-ish type of ability. That's kind of what I've been mapping. But shift 2, shift 3, and shift 4 all could be utility based. They can be burst abilities, they can be CC style abilities, but they're not the major CCs, because major I would map to like someone shift scroll down or something. So that's kind of what my utilities abilities last. And then for my mounts, I decided to use key you know, button 12 on my Naga for my flying mount, and button 11 for my ground mount. And usually ground mounts, I have them, I usually have the ground mount being, you know, luxurious looking, the one that's, you know, looks nice, looks detailed or something to show off, something I would use in a BG. And then my flying mount would probably be something that's more, let's say, productive, proactive, just kind of useful for everything. You know, I put open heart seat, I can use it as a ground mount, I can use it as a flying mount, I can use it anywhere. That's kind of my useful, I guess, the more useful mount compared to like Vicious Saber, which is only a ground mount and doesn't fly. That's just something to show off if I am feeling a little show offy. And then we have on my top left bar, it's actually a hidden bar. We have my gouge, which is focus gouge, which would be button 2 on my Naga. Then we have focus blind, which is button 3. We have my symbiosis, which I put as B5, which is the front button right here. But since symbiosis is going to be removed, I can find something to do. I don't use this button often. It's just some extremely unique abilities. It's just that's what I kind of got to mapping. It to. That's what I would use normally if I was doing like the Warlock Greenfire quest for like pet commands or whatever. Just some unique button. I would just use this one right here up front. Then I have my sap, which is my sap spam button right here, which is great when you're trying to find anybody in stealth on live servers, which is right here, just something easy to move. And the reason I decided to use number 5, I tried different ones. I tried number 6 or whatever, but then I don't know, number 5. Let's say I'm in stealth, I'm looking for somebody, I'm just spamming it, and like each time I spam it, my screen rotates a little bit, my screen shakes a little. I don't know, that never really bothered me, but I felt like because it feels like if I'm like looking a little bit left, as I'm spamming the button or whatnot, my screen is slowly moving to the left, which is pretty much what I'm going to be doing. Even if I did, let's say if I spammed as a key on my keyboard, let's say K. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's do something. No, that's not it. Wow. Let's do this button. Like if I spammed the button, let's say while we're looking around, I'd be looking around anyway. But I feel like I don't know. It's just when I'm spamming 5, it's just a slower style of looking around. It's choppy or whatever. But I feel like it's just a little more careful in case maybe a rogue whizzes by me right here, and I'm able to sap him, so I'm not just completely making full turns around. I'm just kind of inching my way when it doing turns. It just felt comfortable in my hands, so that's what I use. Number 5. Then I have AoEs, which usually I like the scatter AoEs, like Phantom Knives. I use it for number 7. It's just that's what I would use for let's say like chains, lightning chain or whatever for shamans. I would just spam there, sit there and spam number 7 for the most part. And because my thumb is just this far out in position right here, it would feel a little bit awkward having to move it, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I would feel like I get carpal tunnel doing this over and over. So once it's at 7, I usually don't really do anything else. I kind of just keep it at 7. That's why keeping Phantom Knives right there at 7, it's nice, because let's say, I'm just AoEing to find a flag or whatever. I'm not trying to build column points exactly. I'm just there just to, get the AoE, get the enemies off of the flag, or I'm trying to look for stealthies or whatever. This is my purpose. I'm not having to move my hand all over the place. That's just all I'm doing. So I have time to, like, swap it back to position where it usually rests on button 2. So these are my keybinds, and let me just show my macros real quick. I'm sorry if this video is a little long for you, and yeah, I'm sorry ahead if you are getting bored with it or whatever. But these are my macros. This is my keybinds. I don't know any other way of explaining this. My macros. I have a macro for Adrenaline Rush, which I used to macro with other abilities, and I guess you can. Let's say if you're an orc or a if you're a troll, if you for whatever reason you want to play a troll, like I'm not telling you what you should play. You should play whatever race, class, whatever you want to be, spec. But if you're playing combat and you know an orc or a troll and you want to macro your racial into it, this is what I would use for my AR. Then I have my blind, which is my focus blind, which is cast combo focus. You can copy this if you want to. I'll leave it out of there for a second, but this is my focus blind, which I would have at the top bar. This is my normal blind, which I actually do as a mouse over, so I have a little more, I guess, flexibility with my blinds. Then there's the burst I have, which this one is actually for my buddy Frosty Nips. When we used to run arenas together, I would use Tricks of Trade and actually would pop a trinket together. I think this one was one of my early ones, but this is what I would like to normally use with my on live servers with Tricks of Trade. Again, this is going to be gone on Warlord's Genre. Then I have my gouge macro. This one is the this is the focus macro. Then I have my killing spree macro, which I macroed with killing spree, and I used my trinket before using killing spree to make sure my killing spree is applying as many buffs as possible. Here's my recoup macro. I put recuperate and healthstone together. Then I have my sap macro, which is my spam sap macro, which if you guys ever needed to look one where it's to look what one looks like, well then here you go. You clear slash clear target slash target enemy cast sap, and you just spam it, and you're just trying to cycle through enemies. My Shadow Blades, again, Shadow Tooltip, Shadow Blades, cast Shadow Blades. If you want to macro summon together with it, like a trinket of some sort, if you do feel like, you know, it's useful, it's very much possible if you never use Shadow Blades outside of stealth, because if you use a trinket while in stealth, it gets you out of stealth. Wouldn't even let Subterfuge lay through its 3 seconds for it. Another macro that I would recommend for most rogues is a re-stealth macro. You stop attack, you do slash stop attack, slash cast stealth. This will get you out of combat as quickly as possible. It's not that much quicker, but because you're spamming stop attack, you are rendering your character to get out of combat that much quicker. So this are my macros and keybinds. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys didn't find it too tiresome. But yeah, these are my keybinds and my macros. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope this was insightful. Hope you guys are having a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.